Welcome to the Manuchehri podcast. Over the last 30 years, it has been my joy to assist humanity in aligning with their magnificence so they may heal, discover their natural gifts, and communicate with loved ones living on the other side. May you also experience delight while we dance in the powerful, intuitive world of energy. Let's get going. Hello, and welcome to Where Energy Meets the Divine. I'm Manuchehri. So on the podcast today, I'm going to talk about, and I've talked about it before, but I really felt like we needed a deeper conversation about curious, positive what-if cards. And I picked a few from my deck, which is called The Amazing Power of Intuitive What-If Cards. So this is all about gaining intuition through using the tool of what-if cards, positive, curious what-if cards, or what-if questions. You don't even have to use my product. You can make your own cards. You get 3x5 cards or make some beautiful design on them, right on the other side. Be creative. I think creativity unlocks a lot for us. I think that it's a pathway into more of your magnificence, and anything can be creative. I really felt being a nurse was a creative endeavor, mostly because I knew very little about modern medicine before nursing school. And I loved it, because being raised around holistic medicine, which I love, you quickly see the limitations or understand the limitations of holistic medicine. And then you can see the possibility within conventional medicine. And conventional medicine has its limitations. They really go hand in hand. They should be used constantly together. If you happen to be a person who's dealing with a serious health issue like cancer, because remember, I was an oncology nurse, one of my favorite go-to places would be Cancer Centers of America, because they do a combination. They have holistic medicine, they have traditional treatment, but they also, this is the wrong language, play around with their conventional treatment. In other words, they may dilute some chemotherapy or try some other unique remedies, which I think is great, right? So we're going to talk about curious, positive, what-if questions, right? And I'm going to repeat some and explain why they were written this way and what is happening in your body when you repeat them. So the first one I have right here is, this is the question: what if my intuition is open and in constant state of awareness? I'll repeat that. What if my intuition is open and in a constant state of awareness? So wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't you love that? So that's how you want to approach this question. Once you've read it, maybe silently, you want to be in the energy that you already have this incredible skill, gift, ability, that you are in this constant state of awareness. That's what intuition is. It's awareness. That's what consciousness is. It's an awareness. It's a different awareness than being in the logical world. Like in the logical world, I'm aware where my mic is. I'm aware of the bright lights in this room. I'm aware of the furniture behind me, but that has nothing to do with intuition. That has nothing to do with an awareness. True awareness from a state of consciousness is where you're feeling, experiencing, sensing something beyond the logical, something beyond the lights, something beyond the furniture. And because you're sensing it, you've opened up your multisensory abilities. So when you read a question like this and you're not trying to break it down in some logical understanding, because that's key. Logic and intuition don't go together. They're not friends. They're not married. They're two different entities. They operate differently. They have different rules of engagement. When you allow yourself to just move into this curiosity of there's something beyond the lights, there's something beyond the furniture, and you're open to experiencing, not grasping it, not, is there something there? Because that's a grasp. When you try to grasp something, you push it away. Even in your own manifestation of something you want to have in your life. If you're grasping for it, you are literally walking away from it. You don't realize that because we think grasping shows interest. We think grasping shows, I really want that. And we think that the universe is going to comply with that type of demand. But the universe doesn't understand grasping, doesn't understand desperation. It understands openness, flexibility, creativity. getting out of the way of your logical mind. That's what the universe understands. And so when you begin to do that, the universe is meeting you more than halfway. It's coming forward. And when that happens to a lot of people, when they're in this state of openness, of feeling the room beyond the physical, and the universe is meeting them more than halfway, they get scared. They start to shut down their energy. They contract. Is that an entity? Which is a whole another conversation. But they respond to positive frequency and vibration. So positive, curious, what if questions create that vibration within you. It's like your body changes because your mind can't understand these questions. They don't have how, what, where, when, or why in them. So your logical mind goes to sleep. Your multisensory awareness becomes alert. And in that alertness, not the pushing out of desperation, but in the curious awareness of it, the universe meets you, and then you can have experiences. And I think one of the reasons why some people don't or have a hard time experiencing frequently the universe is because they think it's going to be something different. They have a preconceived idea of what that means and what it looks like or how it would feel. And I think you have to get out of that too. You have to get out of any preconceived idea of what it means to be dancing with your intuitive frequency and vibration. It's going to delight you and surprise you, but it's also going to be calm. It's going to be kind. And I think our mind is so much the opposite of that. It's not usually calm and it's not usually kind. And we're trying to use our brain to understand something that is not logical. And we move into all these defenses and then we miss opportunities. Now, I don't want you to think like, oh, this opportunity wasn't there, so you're never going to get it again. Of course, the opportunity is always there. The universe is always there with you. It's consciously desires to engage with you. It wants to be a part of your life. It is a part of your life. It's just waiting for you to experience it, which means you have to negotiate with yourself. So these questions help you, even if it seems like, how could they? They do, because they change your energy. They change the way you're experiencing the moment, which allows you to be available. Here's another question. What if my intuitive guidance system cares for every area of my life and I can let go? That's a great, beautiful question, because to surrender is a blissful state, to not be on guard, to know that you're completely cared for. That's a blissful state. And the universe is in bliss. No matter what people may think, the universe is always in a constant state of bliss. So when you start to step into letting go, you join that energy, and then you can sense and feel the universe, because they are able to move closer and closer and closer to you, because your energy is not unconsciously pushing them away or trying to make some logical sense of the experience. Let's try another one. Ooh. What if I love my mind when it's quiet? Now, this is a really great question because it has the word love in it and mind. So I've already explained some aspects of the mind, but regardless of its wonderful logical abilities, and of course, its lack of ability to translate intuition, you still need to love your mind. Anything you love gets better. Anything you love. But loving your mind is going to help it to get quiet, will help it to move into like white noise, where you are more intuitively engaged in everything. And then life just becomes very simplistic and a pleasure and smooth, and things work out very fast because now you have an awareness of insight, and insight is 1,000 times more accurate than logic. It's really quite powerful. So create your own what if questions, leave the how, what, where, when, or why out of them. Or, you could consider making your own deck or one of mine. But it's really, really fun, very beneficial. And curious, positive what if questions work fast. Not like affirmations. You can affirm something because I am is the perfect phrase. It means God. I am means God. So if you already believe in something, and the definition of believing in something that is that you've already created it in your life, it's already here. Let's say that you want to use an affirmation for having more wealth, and you already are, for the most part, financially comfortable. So that means you believe it. Once you believe something, you've created it. It's in your life. That's how it works. That's why what if questions help us to start to believe something. It changes our energy so that ultimately we believe it. So if you already have financial comfort, then you can use affirmations. What if my wealth is increasing with every breath that I take? Because you already believe it. So they work. When you don't believe it, affirmations don't work. It's like your mind goes behind a metal door when you start to affirm something that you don't believe in. And then you can't circulate the calibration of the energy that equals what you want. Okay. So that was fun. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to the phone lines and answer some interesting questions. Today is May 28th. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. It's gorgeous here today. And our humidity is always high. It's like 87% is our humidity. And today, right now, it's probably close to 80 degrees. So air conditioning is on for all the little creatures actually in the house. Not for me. I don't mind that it's a little warm, but the creatures don't. Okay, here we go.
Hi Marie, my name is Anna and I'm calling you from Virginia. And I would love it if you could give me your reading of my energy and specifically as it pertains to my career, my life purpose. That's something that's been on my mind for such a long time. And I think I've really tried to experiment and try out new things. And I'm trained as a lawyer, and I worked in different jobs, different industries. I even, for me, somehow also the question of career and work was also tied somehow with community. So I was always willing and interested also to move. And so I studied abroad. I lived in about 4 different countries, different cities. But yeah, I just don't think when it comes to work that law is really for me. And so the big question is where to go next.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see whether perhaps you may have some insights. Anything would be extremely helpful. And yes, I just look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
You're welcome, Anna. And yeah, I think a law profession is a cool career because you have a lot of options. I love that you've been looking around, that you haven't been satisfied fully by your career. I think you have to look outside of the box. This is kind of the biggest mistake that most people make when it comes to finding a new career. They may look at, how much money they can make from it or what part of the world they need to live in to do that kind of a job. But you want to take away all the practical aspects when you're looking for what would be in your highest good career-wise. You want to look for the passion and the joy, which you probably aren't feeling in your law degree. And maybe if you've been a lawyer for a while, it's just time to make a change, which there's nothing wrong with that. People live much longer than generations past. And we don't expect people to stay in the same work field for 25, 50, 60 years, right? Because we're living so long. And a lot of people are not going to retire unless they find some incredible hobby that really fulfills them. So you're going to have to start looking outside of the box. And if you're listening to someone like me, that means you're interested in metaphysics. I think you're going to find more of the solution if you start looking into more of the magical careers like mediumship, energy medicine, tarot reading. And I'm not saying that's where your career path is. It very well could be. But for you, you're going to discover it outside of the box. That's where you need to start looking, is try things that you've never tried before that are not practical. They seem like you're not going to make wealth regarding it. I was telling a friend of mine that, because a lot of people think that artists don't make a lot of money. And there's probably a lot of artists that don't make a lot of money. But that has everything to do with their self-worth, not with the career path. Because there are many artists that make millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, because they sell their art for exorbitant prices, or, that's how I look at it. I mean, $50,000 for a piece of art. You sell, several of those in a year, and wow, you've got a career path that creates more wealth than something that takes many years of university. But what I think your career overall, but I still want you to go into these different out of the box pathways for you, because I think you're going to gain more clarity about it, I think you should consider writing. First of all, lawyers are typically good writers, but the writing would be fiction. And that requires a lot of creativity and a unique way of looking at things, but also bringing some of the logical experiences that you have to interweave in your writing. So that's what I think. But you're still going to need to venture in these unpredictable ways. You will get more knowledge and clarity about what you're going to do, which could very well be writing. That's what's going to happen. Okay, great question. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Michael. I spoke with you about 7 years ago, and you
Oh,
really helped me
hey.
with a lot of my own moving forward with my body and actually just in life. And I've been meaning to reach out because I'm mostly concerned about my daughter. She's 18 and she went
Mm-hmm.
through a lot during COVID, a suicide attempt, just diagnosis with various anxiety, depression, ADHD, and she's seemed to come out of the other end of it and is off in college, but sort of
Yeah.
living an eccentric life
Eh,
because her college is abroad right now.
eh.
And I guess my question is, am I doing the right thing for her? I don't ever know if I'm being too lenient or too strict, but I worry about her well-being and her ability to control her own impulses and her own emotional state. And really, I worry that she should just be home taking care of herself and then getting a solid ground. I'm not sure how much you can answer, but
Mm-hmm.
most of my anxiety comes from her state of being. And I have two other kids at home, so focusing this much on her is definitely taking its toll on both of us. Any insight would be great. Thank you so much.
Of course, I'm so sorry that your daughter had a hard time during COVID. A lot of young people did. It kind of shocked me because I probably would have been one of those kids that was happy that I didn't have to go to school and I could just stay home and learn online. I probably would have appreciated that. And as an adult, I loved how quiet the world was during that time, that the birds were so happy. But a lot of young people did not like it. They liked socializing with their friends. They loved, the camaraderie and, you know, eating pizza in the school cafeteria and hanging out, as friends as they get on the bus. Right. And that makes sense. It's a great socializing time, that part of school. So I think that's understandable. I do think, and you can disagree with me because I think you're an excellent mother, by the way. I think you've done a great job, and it's already been proven. Your daughter's in college. She's doing well. I know you have this idea about her life is so idyllic because she's, I don't know, but let's just say she's in France somewhere, eating cheese in the morning and walking across bridges, with beautiful views, hearing foreign languages. But what a blessing for her. She may someday choose to live in a European country. I like European energy. I love the Pacific Northwest, but I could live in London. I could live in Ireland. Any place kind of cold. I like. I don't like it too hot. But I think you've done a great job. Obviously, your daughter's thriving. She's doing well. It will be important for you to learn to not worry. This is where she gets your anxiety. And I am in no way blaming you. I don't want you to ever think that. Children, though, model their energy from the people that they spend the most amount of time with. And many times that is the female parent or one of the female parents, if someone has two female parents. So if we can get our own anxiety to drop, because some people just handle anxiety better than others. That's just the way it is. Some people know how to get out of it. Some people know how to shift their brain. Some people crave the quiet so much that they'll go at great lengths to relax their brain and get it to a state of wellness. And I think you are one of those people, more so than others who have similar anxiety. So work on yourself regarding this. What if questions would be great. What if my daughter is thriving in every way possible? And I don't want you to think what that looks like or what her behavior would be or her grades or anything like that. I want you to get out of the logical understanding of things and just be in the pure vibration of it, because we don't always know what's going to make someone thrive. Clearly, your daughter's doing great. And you're kind of moving into this anxiety about the future. Whenever we think about the future, that does create anxiety. And we don't want to do that because it hasn't been created yet, not enough so in our physical reality that we're experiencing it. So we want to send positive, curious, what if questions, even to the future. What if my daughter's future is bright? What if her autonomic system loves the calm and she easily practices that vibration? You do not have to ever say a what if question out loud, ever. That's why these can be practiced all day long in your own mind, and no one would need to know that you're doing it. And I like to practice them when my mind is in an activity, like folding laundry, washing dishes. That's one of the reasons why I like to wash dishes by hand. Yes, I run the dishwasher every day, but I also wash dishes every day or two because it puts me in the present moment, the suds and the window and the water temperature. I like it. So that's where it would be best to practice these what if questions. And it'd be fun for you to do your own experiment. Once you've done this for a little while, let's say a couple weeks, what is your check-in with your daughter like? Does she seem happier? Does she seem more relaxed? Is she even commenting to you, yeah, I've just been way more relaxed and less anxious, Mom. It's fantastic. And you don't have to tell her what you're doing. That's completely up to you. But that could be a great positive validation that using these positive, wonderful what if questions for yourself helps everyone you're connected to. And obviously, you're very connected to your child. So I think you're doing great, honestly, and it shows already. So congratulations.
Hello, Marie. My name is Diane, and I am from New York. I want to try and keep my background as short as I can, but also give you the key details of what I am struggling with. I am in my 60s, and I have been on and off Lexapro for over 13 years, ever since the September 11th attack on New York City.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I started the medicine because of some PTSD I had from being in lockdown while the world was figuring out what was happening. The company I worked for lost 200 people that day. At the same time, when I turned to my family, they were not supportive of what I was going through at the time and had no idea how to handle severe panic and stress situations. Very recently, I decided to taper off of 20 milligrams of Lexapro over a 4 to 5 month time period, primarily due to weight gain and not feeling any better on the meds.
Yeah.
The results were severe.
Oh.
The level of anxiety and depression was overwhelming, along with suicidal thoughts.
Oh.
My doctor put me on Wellbutrin in lieu of starting Lexapro again, but I also need to take 0.25 milligrams of Xanax every day because I cannot get through the panic, fear, and anxiety that starts immediately when I open my eyes in the morning. I have been on the Wellbutrin for 1 week, and I know it should all get better, but fear it won't. Also, I fear I will get addicted to the Xanax and have another problem. During all of this, I walked away from my family of 7 years ago after the passing of my 2 parents, who I cared for alone, while my brothers and sisters did nothing. I have never recovered from having to give up a lucrative career and my family. I have a social phobia that makes it hard for me to establish a new community of friends, neighbors, and coworkers. I don't know what next steps to take anymore and would love to hear what guidance you may suggest. Thank you, Marie.
Thank you, Diane, and I'm so sorry for everything that happened. I mean, 9/11, that was scary. Although I would say I always wondered before why we didn't have more international terrorist attacks in the United States. We're a really large country. Many European nations had already experienced them. We've only had, at that point that I know of, domestic terrorist attacks. But here's my thoughts. And I will say that day was so scary. I can't imagine being in New York because I was thousands of miles away and I wouldn't let my kids go to school. You know, I'm like, nobody, I don't know what else is going to happen in the country. Nobody's going to school. Yeah. Why do you live in New York? I don't think that's a great place for your autonomic system. Maybe consider a small town somewhere, quiet, you know, out in the country where people actually can really get to know their neighbors and their community. And there's kind of this feeling of safety. I'm not suggesting that New York is unsafe. Obviously, it's a very large city. It's really fun, but the energy is intense there. It's very intense, and your autonomic system can't handle, from my perspective, that much intensity. So I think it would be great for you to consider living someplace else, even if it's in a different part of New York, in a smaller town, but it really looks like a very country type of place. Maybe even somewhere in the UK. I think it's great you walked away from your siblings, because that's who I think you're talking about overall. And you didn't have to quit your job to take care of your parents. I know you may think you had to, but there were other ways that it could have been arranged. And of course, thank you for doing that. That's really lovely. I think your siblings have always been this way. Some people are, energetically just very different than we are, even if we share DNA. And it's really okay not to have relationships with people that we don't feel supported and loved by. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. The only people in the universe who think that not having, I'm not saying you, by the way, Diane, intimate relationships with our DNA is wrong, are humans. Nobody else in all of the cosmos has a concern about it whatsoever. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Here's what I would suggest regarding the medication. And I do like Wellbutrin. I do think it is, out of a lot of the antidepressants, I think it is one of the better ones. Overall, antidepressants don't work very well. Obviously, it was helping you with your anxiety, clearly. So that's good. But that's why doctors have to layer them with other medications, because they honestly don't work. I would consider some near infrared and red light therapy. It is a mood elevator. I think you need to have your mitochondria fed. I think that's why you go into anxiety so quickly, because your mitochondria are already tired. I think you must have had some significant past life shock, where there was some major tragedy that happened in your community. Could have been a volcano erupted and you were living in a village and everyone was wiped out. And so when the attacks happened on 9/11, it just brought you back to that old past life, and you haven't been able to get out of it yet. Because sometimes when a past life situation is reverberated in our body, it takes a while for us to disengage from it. Hopefully, with Saturn moving into Aries and into Neptune, that can give you a leg up. I'm not sure when you left this message. It could have been months ago. Hopefully that will help astrologically, help you to disconnect from this PTSD. And what I would recommend about meds moving forward is to elicit a naturopath. Naturopaths can't give, only in certain circumstances, scheduled 2 drugs, right? So there's some medications they can't prescribe, but most medications they can. And that means they know a lot about pharmacology. And so they can come up with alternatives, or even work with your physician or your psychologist to come up with a remedy temporarily so that you can move off of these medications. But I actually think you need to move, and you never have to do anything I say, ever. I mean, that's a big ask. Oh, could you just move? But I think it would be better for you to live someplace quieter, softer. New York is loud, which makes it so fun when you're a visitor, but maybe not so much fun when you're not. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Marie. This is Kim from Arnold, Maryland, which is near Annapolis. I have 2 questions. I know you often just end up answering one, but I'm going to give it a try, and I'll try and be quick. The first one is I have been interested in metaphysical for a very long time, but I don't seem to ever experience or feel anything. We had a ghost or ghosts in our house for a while. Everybody in my family had some experience or could sense something. I couldn't. My daughter passed away a year and a half ago, and my husband frequently senses her. I sense nothing. I've never sensed anything metaphysical. I've been told that I had that skill in a past life, and after that, I said, no more. I don't want this. So I'm just wondering if that's true and if there's any way to change it. My second question is I've been meditating for a long time. I've never been really great at it, but I've been doing it for a long time. Ever since my daughter died, I've been meditating every morning, and I usually have I should say ever since my daughter passed, because I know she's not dead. Her soul's still here. But anyway, I've been meditating, hoping to be able to connect with her in some way. In the last couple of weeks, I have not been able to meditate. I don't know what's going on. I have music that I usually listen to, a couple different things that have always helped me, stay focused. But lately, either they put me to sleep or I just can't keep my mind clear. It's been incredibly frustrating. So just wondering if you can, sense anything, if you have any thoughts on what might help me that way. So, both sensing the metaphysical around me, kind of opening those doors that seem to be closed, as well as, why I seem to be having so much trouble meditating now. And is there something different maybe I should try, or something I need to be aware of? Thank you. I appreciate everything you do. I've been listening to you for about 5 months, and you're just wonderful. I very much appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm very sorry about your daughter's passing. I heard her say, and she follows you around, by the way. She likes to tease. So she follows you around, and like, let's say if you're wearing slippers, she likes to come up at the, if your slipper was open in the back, she likes to come up and just kind of push down on the back of your slipper to kind of give you a little jolt or make you feel like you were about to trip. She loves to tease. But I heard her say many times that she's very proud of you. Very proud of you. I do think and I'm going to answer both of these because they're related, right? All of this is related. I do think that spending some time really nurturing yourself is key. And I think self-nurturing is one of the ways is quiet times with yourself, right? Just being loving and kind to yourself. If, your daughter were here and you were nurturing her, you two might be cuddled up on the couch, touching each other's hair, or, just gently touching each other's arms or something. So if you could do that to yourself, that would be great. I think self-nurturing is the key to many, many forms of transformation. It's powerful. We're so beloved by the universe. And when we start to love ourselves, we become universal. So there's that. Meditation can be done in so many ways. It could be that there was some weird astrological thing going on and it was difficult to quiet your mind or relax your body. It could be that you've grown out of listening to music, because we change typically over time. Some people force themselves not to change. I don't recommend that. I'm not saying you're doing that, but some people do that. Why don't you try doing some yin yoga as your form of meditation, or qigong? I think you'll be better served doing some movement for meditation, because there isn't any fast rule about meditation, although we all seem to believe that it's a sit down, close your eyes kind of practice, which is lovely when we can get there. But movement, soft, gentle, repetitive movement while you're being present with your body, could be a great way for you to meditate. I don't believe this past life thing or whatever, like you said, never again, because souls have free will. They can change anything they want at any time. They're manifesting creatures. We're learning how to manifest in this third dimensional space. So I don't buy that analogy. I don't think that's true. The only thing you need to do is you have to get out of your head. So I say this a lot to people and they don't know what I'm talking about, even though I have shared how to do it many times. There's even YouTube videos on my YouTube channel on how to do it. I'm not sure where they are, but they're somewhere in there. You want to start resting your energy, which means taking the energy away from your brain and moving it to the lower half of your body. This is your body, your brain, your energy. You get to do with it whatever you want. What people don't realize is that they are allowing their energy to stay in their mind, and you can't hear, see, or feel intuition if your energy is just up here in your brain. So if the brain gets quiet, and removing your energy, which could be a form of distraction, maybe you just wiggle your toes and be very present with the crinkling of your toes and like I have slippers on. That's the fun thing about doing online work, is you can wear yoga pants and slippers and just curl the front of your hair, right? You don't have to get all fussied up. So like I'm wiggling my toes right now and I can feel my toes pressing against the bottom of the slipper. Just simple things like that allows the energy, because energy flows towards your attention. So if you start feeling your physical form, like I'm feeling my glute muscles right now, I'm feeling the yoga pants that are on my legs, I'm allowing myself to be present with the lower half of my body, which then allows more energy to escape the mind and be in the lower half of your body. That means you have a lot of room and time before your energy sneaks back up and tries to intellectualize intuition, which it can't. So that's where your practice is. Get out of your head. Be in your body. Number one, best effective thing that anyone can do multiple times a day. Okay. And again, your daughter wants me to tell you she loves you and the entire family deeply. And she's very sorry that she's crossed on the other side. And that's important that she wanted me to say that several times. You know, she's sorry that she's on the other side. And she's also very proud of her family. She thinks that you guys have done very well under these unique circumstances. Okay, well, thank you everyone for your questions and for listening to this podcast. It's fun to be part of this beautiful community of love and light and happiness and positive, curious what if cards. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye for now.